Hi guys, today we're going to have a look at XLookup, which is the newest feature of Excel and how it's really going to replace VLOOKUP for you. Let's see how. So today we're going to have a look at the various different lookup functions that are available in Excel. The newest function, as you may have heard of, is the XLookup, which has just been launched in Microsoft 365. Now we'll look at the traditional VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP and see how it varies. A VLOOKUP simply means a vertical lookup and an HLOOKUP is a horizontal lookup. Now, usually the syntax of a VLOOKUP starts from the reference cell and moves across diagonally across the columns. So if the VLOOKUP function starts from either the name onwards, it cannot work backwards and find the employee code, which is where XLookup will come in. So if we just look at the example over here, we have our drop-down list. So if we change our name to Derek over here is an admin executive and his salary is 15,000. Now in the VLOOKUP syntax, if we just look there, it looks up the value here and it works forward, where the reference column of where the lookup value is always going to be 1, and that's going to be number 2, and that's going to be number 3. So if we look over here, B16 is what we're looking up for, and the range is C5. From here, we could even put it down because we don't really need that, the first header, and it comes down to this value here. And if there are any blanks, it won't really make any difference to our data set. And it's looking for the second column here. So this is the first and that's the second, and that's why it returns us the title. Now the same thing would apply here in the salary, where it goes from the first row, the second row, the third row, and if you see, we have the third row over here. Now if we want to look up from the name what the employee code is, a VLOOKUP will not be able to do that. You could use an index and match function, which could work in different directions, but the XLOOKUP is what has replaced it. So the syntax of the XLOOKUP is the same. We look at the lookup value over here. We look at the range where we want to find it. So we want to go down to Derek, and then we want to return what's next to Derek, which is 1004. And that is what returns the employee code. So similarly, the horizontal lookup is where it looks for data when it's arranged horizontally. So the headers could be on the left side rather than being on the top, and that's where you would have a case to use a horizontal lookup. So similarly, if we have a look here, we have our drop down list. We'll go down to Zoe. Once we're down to Zoe, we can see that the data changes here. Let's go across. We have Zoe here, who is a support executive, and her salary is 23,500. Now, once again, if we look at the syntax, what it does, it looks at the data which is in the reference cell and it matches it to the reference range here, and instead of the column reference, we are now looking at the row reference. So in the job title, it's in the second row after the main item that it has found from row number 6. So it's the second item. Now the same thing we apply to the salary, and once we look at the syntax here, you can have a look, the same reference, and it looks horizontally across to the third row, and the third row is now here from Zoe, returns 23,500. Similarly to the VLOOKUP, the horizontal lookup cannot go backwards, it can only go forwards. So the XLOOKUP once again replaces the need for an index and match function, and it does the same thing where it looks for the reference and it finds the range from where it wants to look for the reference and what the range is there where it wants to return it. So I think that the XLOOKUP function for me has definitely replaced all of the VLOOKUP functions and the HLOOKUP functions, as well as index and match of what I've been using recently. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this little learning session. See you in the next video.